Hi, and welcome to the premiere episode of EPLoverLA, the show created by fans for fans of England's Premier League. People are already looking to next year's Premier League. There's been a lot of drama this year with players wanting to leave, with managers getting fired. Almost every club is in some sort of financial trouble. So one of the first things that's already been released is a list of all the players from every squad who are available for a free transfer. I thought that I would take this opportunity to try and help the teams by maybe giving a little insight about who might be the best person to try to grab up on a free transfer in every position. And for my information, I thought there would be no better source than, statistically speaking, than fantasy football. So here are the top fantasy football free transfer picks for each position. It's actually Arsenal's Almunia who would be the best purchase. As an Arsenal supporter, I can't say don't take him. If you can utilize him, please give him a go. I would also be willing to throw in Fabianski if you'd like to take him as well, and if I could have my own way, I would give you Bettner too. Is actually Jody Craddock from the Wolves. Now the Wolves hung on to their spot. They will be back in the EPL next season, so we'll see if the Wolves actually let him go. Michael Ballack from Chelsea is technically a free transfer. I just don't know how many teams want another crazy German. I'm not saying that in terms of Ballack, I'm saying that from our own past experience layman. The number one spot in terms of fantasy football statistics is actually Klasnick from Bolton. Klasnick had a lot of goals for Bolton this season, and it'll be interesting to see if they're able to hang on to him or if he happened to catch the eye of another squad. So now we're going to jump over to Helen to talk about one of the more surprising results at the end of the season.
Well, since it's obvious that hell has frozen over, many of you have recognized that Tottenham have actually qualified for Champions League position this year. I have been asked to research to let you know, the supporters, how this could have possibly happened. I've been toying with some ideas and I've been doing some research. I first decided to call my brother. He's a Tottenham supporter and his basic response was that they've played like poet warriors. Well, yeah, okay, it's possible that, playing well had something to do with it, but no, I'm looking for the real reason that they could have made it into the top four. So then I tried kind of looking at the team dynamics, and I realized that, this is a predominantly English team with an English manager. I mean, hello, I didn't even know that was a possibility. I mean, anybody who wants to take the Champions League seriously or possibly qualify would never put a bunch of English people in their team and have it led by an English manager. I mean, I didn't even know that was an option. So, I figured that the answer could not have lied there, that there had to be some other reason why Tottenham have finished in the top four. And basically, I've come to the conclusion that it has to be because of
I guess we'll check back in with Helen a little bit later. Moving on, we are going to now head over to Alicia and her segment, which we are affectionately calling Alicia's Rant. Now this piece was a little bit of a challenge for her as she's not a United supporter, but obviously one of the biggest headlines lately has been the drama between the United fans and the Glazer family who is running the club. So with some very interesting facts and a rather interesting take on the whole thing, here is Alicia.
I get where you're coming from. If someone came into my club, which was debt-free, and then in the course of 7 years ran up $700 million in debt, and is threatening to take out another $1 million in bonds against the team, I'd be upset. If my ticket prices went up 42% over the past few years, I'd be upset. If I weren't allowed to protest against what I think is an injustice to my team, and my players were having gag orders placed against them and not being allowed to talk about the problems, I'd be upset. And while I say I get it, here's where my issues stand. I see where you say you want to kick the Glazers out, that you want to put someone in there who has the same priorities as the fans. And that's all well and good, but from what I can see, you have a step 1, kick Glazers out. Step 2, step 3, dead free and glory, glory, man united. But where's your step 2? Who's taking over the team? You said you don't want to run the team because you know you're not business people to do that and you're not managers. You need someone in there who can do that for you. But who is this mysterious person? And outside of the Glazers, why are we just going after the owners? Why aren't you going after other people as well? I mean, where do you think a lot of the debt in the EPL comes from? It comes from players. I looked up and found statistics for the top 50 highest paid players in football worldwide. 4 of your first string players are on that list. Let's say your player makes $6 million a year. Let's say you have a manager, a publicist, and a personal assistant, and all 3 of them get 20% of your paycheck. That should leave you with $2,400,000. Okay, let's take half of that for taxes, charity contributions, other things that you might have to pay out for, mortgages, things of that nature. That's $1,200,000 left over. Let's divide that by 52 weeks in a year. That means you would make roughly $23,000 a week. So what I'm saying is, why can't some of the players give that back to the team? Why can't they show their team loyalty and support by giving some of that back?
I agree with a lot of what you were saying. It'll be really, really interesting to see how this all plays out. This is the interactive part of the show. Lauren every week will be explaining a rule, will be answering fans' questions, anything that you want to know about the Premier League, about the history of the league, the history of your team, what your team's colors mean, why your mascot is what it is, anything you can think of. Post it on our Facebook page, leave a comment on our YouTube channel, and every week we'll go through those and Lauren will answer one of your questions. Talk about aggregate scoring, and just to lay it out very clearly for anyone who still may be a little confused, here is Lauren.
It can be a little aggravating trying to understand aggregate scoring, so let's break it down. Aggregate means a total, so we're totaling the scores of the games. In tournaments like the UEFA Champions League, clubs play each other twice, once at home and once as the away team. For example, Barcelona plays Arsenal at Emirates, where Barcelona scores 1 and Arsenal scores 2. Then they play each other again at Camp Nou, where Barcelona again scores 1 and this time Arsenal scores 0. Now, the aggregate score would be 2-2, the total of both games. But this is where it becomes a little bit more complicated since we have a draw. So in this case, goals scored away at the other team's stadium will count as 2. Since Barcelona scored 1 at Emirates, it's going to count as 2, and then they also scored 1 at Camp Nou. Arsenal scored 0 at Camp Nou, and then they scored 2 at Emirates, so the aggregate score is actually 3-2. Barcelona will advance, Arsenal will not. Now let's just say that both teams scored the same number of away goals and we still have a draw. At this point, 30 minutes of extra time is played, and if the score is still tied, then the winner is determined by penalty kicks. Not too bad. Now you can show off and explain aggregate scoring to your friends at the pub.
Okay, now we're going to end the show every week with just a fun little segment, and it is the football quote of the week. Well, thank you very much for joining us for the premiere episode of EPLoverLA. Hope you enjoyed it. Don't forget to leave comments and questions for Learn It from Lauren, and hopefully we will see you again here next week.
Climate change? Chuck Norris. Oh, that's all I've got. Climate change or Chuck Norris, take your pick. Anyway, since we know that the end of the world is near, I'm gonna go have a beer.